Let's give Dr. Lodge McCammon a warm welcome. Dr. McCammon.
Thank you. Hello and good morning. My name is Dr. Lodge McCammon, and I'm so excited to be here in Palm Beach County, Florida, delivering the opening keynote at the Ignite the Future Technology Conference. And the first thing I'd like to do is give a big round of applause to the conference organizers for having me out today. So let's go ahead and do that. Yes. Thank you. The title of my keynote is Reboot the Lecture, Ignite the Brain, and I will be modeling and discussing ways of using what I call one-take video to shift the paradigm of instruction. One-take video like this video we're watching right here. I have my cell phone on a tripod, and I hit record. I talk about what I need to say. I do what I need to do. I hit stop, and that product is done. I can immediately review it, reflect upon it, and share it with my education community. It's a rapid way of creating meaningful classroom content. Now, you might be wondering from a teaching perspective, what are the benefits of doing such a thing? And I want to focus on two benefits up front. According to research, if we take, as teachers, if we take the content we are responsible for delivering to students and concisely put it on a video and deliver it that way, students will retain more of the information as opposed to a live presentation of that same information. The second benefit is it creates a self-paced learning environment. Students can watch the videos wherever and whenever they need and as many times as they need in order to process that information. And according to research, creating a self-paced learning environment results in better student success. So the last thing I want to talk about is throughout the day I'm going to be running a Twitter contest. And my Twitter handle is @PocketLodge. And throughout the day, I will be tweeting resources, videos, ideas, lessons. So every time you retweet one of my tweets, you tweet @PocketLodge, or you reply to a tweet, your name will get thrown into a hat. So the more you tweet, the more chances you will have to win. At the end of the day, I will select a winner at random. And here's what you will win. I will be giving away this tripod and a cell phone clip. Now the cell phone doesn't come with it, that's my cell phone. But you can put your cell phone in here, and it's a great tool for creating one-take video in the classroom or for the classroom. Now if you don't have a Twitter account, you can still access all the information that I'm sharing today by going to twitter.com/PocketLodge and scrolling down. So let's reboot the lecture and ignite the brain. I love presenting in this way. For a lot of reasons. Oh yes, thank you very much. That feels good. It feels real good. I love presenting in this way because I can be up on the screen delivering the content, delivering the information, and I've basically cloned myself. While that is being handled in a very efficient way, I can also be in the audience, in the crowd, in the classroom, managing behavior. There were a number of people as I walked by, they kind of hid their phones. It's interesting, huh? I'm not the police. I'm not here to do that. The other value is that having these videos available allows students, again, to interact with that content as many times as they need, and that it can be an extremely valuable concept. Now, we're going to talk about that more in a second. Before I get more into that, I want to tell you a quick story. The second year I was teaching at Wakefield High School, I was approached by the Media Center director, and she said, "We want you to be the head of the Sunshine Committee." And I was a second-year teacher, so I didn't really know what that was. I was like, "Oh, that sounds great. I'd be happy to do that." Before I realized what the Sunshine Committee was, because I'm not an extraordinarily happy person, so it didn't really fit all that well. I'm just kidding, I'm pretty happy. But I said yes, I'd be happy to do that. Now, afterwards I found out what that was all about, and the Sunshine Committee was about spreading happiness and joy throughout the high school. Happiness and joy throughout a high school. It's a challenge, it really is. So basically, there were three big responsibilities we were charged with, real practical things. First was planning and implementing the Thanksgiving lunch, big deal. The second one was planning and implementing a holiday party. I like parties. And the last was sending out sympathy cards if people were sick or had family members that were sick. So those were basically the three practical responsibilities of the Sunshine Committee. And I thought, and on top of this generic make people happy, so I thought, okay, this is good. Now, there was a big challenge that existed on top of that. And the challenge was fundraising. Because there wasn't a budget for the Sunshine Committee, I had to go find and get money from all the teachers, which is very challenging, trying to get money from teachers. So everybody needed to give $10, and if everybody gave $10, we could have awesome parties and the whole thing would be handled. Big challenge. Because face-to-face conversations about money are odd. Like, hey, my name is Lodge, you've seen me, can I have $10? Right, yeah, and, well, I don't have it on me, geez, I left it in my other pants. A whole bunch of excuses. Now, sending an email, email is great. Not when teachers get 200 emails a day. Email is not great. The subject line, don't forget to give $10 to the, no. Easily deleted. Be like, yeah, no, I've got to handle this email from a parent. I don't have time to do the Sunshine thing. So I launched what I consider a pretty innovative fundraising campaign in the faculty bathrooms. These were fairly pristine environments. You could call them white padded rooms, although they weren't padded. But basically, the first order of business in this fundraising campaign, I went to Google image search and typed in ray, like ray of sunshine. And I told myself, the first image that came up, that's going to be our mascot. I didn't know it was going to come up, but the first one that came up was going to be our mascot. Pulled it up. It was a picture of an older gentleman wearing a white t-shirt that wasn't overly clean. I assume his name was Ray. Copy, paste, into flyers. So at the top of the flyer, picture of the older gentleman named Ray. And on the bottom of the flyer, we wrote, Ray says, quote, don't forget to pay your sunshine dues, end quote. We put those flyers in all the faculty bathrooms. Instant hit. Instant hit. It confused people. Who is Ray? Is Ray one of the teachers? Like what? Who is Ray? Everybody was talking about Ray. Is he your dad? Does he look like me? That doesn't look like me. I would clean my shirt. So everybody was buzzing about Ray, and the magic thing, the money started rolling in. People were having conversations with each other, like, "Oh, did you see the Ray thing? That Ray thing is crazy. Have you given money? Not yet." So they were doing the work for me, and the money started rolling in. So I'm like, "This is a huge success. I am a genius at marketing." So I decided to take it one step further because it was bringing in the money, which was good, but it was also spreading happiness. People were laughing about this. They were like, "This is the crazy. I really like this." And I wanted that happiness to continue, to keep going. So we started posting more things in the bathrooms. And now, the faculty bathrooms, if we have a chance to go to the bathroom during the day, which is precarious, you go in there, you get a nice big heavy door, and you lock it, just this big lock. And most of the time, I think like there's a lot of panic that happens in those little rooms, these little white padded rooms. You know, hands on the sink, be like, I can't go back out there. I can't. I've got 2.5 minutes until I can't do this again. So I figured, placing these little statements around would help people. Statements like little picture, these little slips of paper, little picture of Ray. Ray says, it'll be okay. Play off of the excitement of Ray. And then came up with one that says, Ray says vitamin D is the bestest. Yep, that is the vitamin from sunshine. Yes. And so little things like that. Now, what took this from good to great is I had this idea one morning. Tiny little slips of paper. like little tiny things. Barely could see him. Tiny picture of Ray. He's still there. Ray says, FYI, the government can make video cameras the size of a pin in all the faculty bathrooms. Like I said, from good to great, though. That afternoon, I was on lunch duty, and I saw from across the lunchroom a math teacher, a fistful of crumpled up paper, charging toward me, got up to me, and she's like, and she was very short. So she said, "Stop putting these in the bathroom." Threw the thing down at my feet, and then stormed off. I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. And all that did was encourage me to post more in that bathroom than in any other bathroom. And a lot of things that Ray said for that custom bathroom were about math. There's a lot of math information in there. Now, why am I telling you this? I feel like I'm still part of the Sunshine Committee, that I spend a lot of my waking hours trying to figure out ways of making the school environment better, making a teacher's life better and more exciting. And you know, I'm going to be sharing a few ideas, and if you're the teacher that wants to crumple up those ideas and throw them at my feet, I'll tell you this, and rip them down off the bathroom walls. All of them were ripped down off the bathroom walls in that bathroom, by the way. Nothing got through. Didn't keep me from trying. But if you're that person, you want to do that, that's okay, because I guarantee it will only make me try harder to help and get through. So let's begin. Lecture. I didn't know he was going to be using the L word today. That's just awkward. What's he going to say about that? I love lecture. I love the word. I love the idea. I love the practice. And I love it for two reasons. The first is because it's a time-tested strategy. For thousands of years, human beings have been learning, and a lot of that learning has been interacting with some sort of lecture. We have students in our classrooms that can learn from lecture. So under the umbrella of differentiated instruction, it should be a strategy that we say, okay, we can use that strategy because some students can benefit from it, like many other strategies. Now, should it take up all of our class time? No. Should we use it all the time? Maybe not. But it is a great thing, and the second reason is because I get to do my favorite lesson plan using lecture. And that lesson plan is I play a video lecture, like what we're watching here. It's a 5-minute lecture about lecture. And I play this lecture for my students. Many times my students are teachers, because I do a lot of professional development. But I play this lecture for my students and then challenge them to create a condensed, concise, and summarized version of that in 1 minute. So watch this 5-minute lecture, create your own version, and teach it back to me. I love that lesson plan. It's extraordinarily rigorous, and it's exciting. So I want to play you Crystal Davis's summarized version of this 5-minute lecture, her 1-minute version. She is an educator in North Carolina.
As we begin to have our conversations about 21st century learning and technology, we actually had negative undertones when it came to lecture. But as we continue to have these conversations and we continue to learn in our classrooms, we find out that lecture is not a bad thing. So instead of standing in front of the classroom talking, let's change the way we lecture. We're finding out that digital recorded lectures are the way to go. They take less time, it is more time efficient, so a 60-minute lecture can be condensed into about 15 minutes. You can watch it multiple times, as many views as you need. That will help our students with their own remediation and still become accountable for their own learning. We also want to be trusted sources of knowledge in our classrooms and in our communities. This still gives us the opportunity to do it. So instead of having negative feelings about our lecture, let's turn that frown upside down. Record your lectures.
Thank you, Crystal. Yes, we should clap for you. I love a lot of these ideas. One of the big ones that she sort of hit on with the trust and relationships issue is that if we can put our classroom content out there for students. We already talked about how beneficial it is for self-paced learning. But what about for our parents and bigger education community? Pulling them in to the classroom, putting a little window up into your classroom, getting them involved, and giving them an actual action item to get involved with. Sit down with your child and interact with this information. Get to know me a little bit, even though you're not in my classroom. And the other thing I really love about these types of lectures is that it provides a consistent message from day to day, from year to year. That consistent message, you always get the best content delivery from me if I create these. But I really want to talk about the efficiency that she talked about. That she said that a video lecture is significantly shorter than a live lecture. And I want to show you this very short video. It's about 1.5 minutes long. And I recorded it using something called Screencast-O-Matic, which is a very simple screen recording technology. And it takes what's on your computer screen, and you can record a video that way. It also takes your webcam and puts you down in the corner so your students can interact with a little bit of your gestures, your facial cues, and your eye contact, which we know from research is really important to keeping students engaged in these types of presentations. And I still consider this a one-take video. Still a very simple process that I prepare it, I record, I hit record, I say what I need to say, I hit stop, and the product is done.
We sent out a survey asking teachers who have recorded and published their lecture content to tell us the difference between how long a live lecture used to take compared to how long their video lectures are. And most of these teachers have gone through the training program that we have created. So we had middle school, elementary, middle, high school, and college professors all participate in this survey. We had 127 teachers reply in total. And here is a summary of their responses. So in elementary school, the elementary school teachers reported that the average length of their live lecture was 23.4 minutes, and the average length of a video lecture on the same topic that used to take them 23.4 minutes is 5 minutes. In middle school, the average live lecture is 38.3 minutes. Their average video lecture is 8.5 minutes. In high school, an average live lecture is 37.8 minutes, and their average video lecture is 10.5 minutes. And in college, their average live lecture is 54 minutes, and their average video lecture is 19.8 minutes. Huge benefits and efficiency from recording your lecture content. Basically, in elementary school, the ratio is 5-to-1. For every 5 minutes you do live lecture, that can be summarized in a 1-minute video. For middle and high school, it's about 4-to-1, and college is 3-to-1. The other interesting thing we're finding is that so for college the ratio is 3-to-1. Also for like faculty meetings, staff meetings in school, it's about a 3-to-1 ratio for live talking compared to what can be condensed to a video. And also professional development is usually about 3-to-1 as well.
Recently, the popular press has said that sitting is the new smoking. And we sit way too much. So if everybody stand up for me, please. Thank you. Yeah, I see some people stretching. The environment changes. You feel that? Can you hear it? That's blood rushing to your brain. It's not pooling down here because we're sitting. That's blood rushing. Ah, yeah, that's nice. That's nice. That's good. Because I'm going to ask you to do some thinking, and blood needs to be in your brain in order to do that. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to identify a group of 3 or 4, just somewhere around you, and just, like me, okay, this, us, okay, good. It should take about 10 seconds and then quiet, so go ahead, group of 4. And make sure in the overflow areas, make sure y'all are doing this as well. All right? I'll wait. No, I don't really know. I don't. So we just watched this
data about efficiency and live lecture versus video lecture. The question I want you to discuss in your groups of 4, 3 or 4, is why? Why does that? What slows down the live lecture? Because that's a huge difference. That should be shocking. Why is that the case? I'm going to give you 2.5 minutes in your groups to discuss. Go ahead. Create a bulleted list. Wrap up your discussions in about 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. And come back to me. Stay standing up, please. Stay standing up. I heard a lot of good conversations. I got out there and was able to discuss a little bit. Who, raise your hand if you said behavior. Yes. Behavior. Oh my gosh. What about interruptions? Yeah, interruptions. What about questions? Both on topic and off topic questions. Hey, you know, my dad. No, nope. And questions are an interesting idea, or questions are an interesting issue, because we want to encourage questions. We want to encourage students asking questions. But in a room of 35 or 40 in some of our high schools, when that student, you know what student I'm talking about, when that student keeps asking questions, is that relevant for everyone? Most of the time, probably not. And those questions are better addressed when I'm out circulating the room. I can sit one-on-one with a student and answer their question face-to-face, and it doesn't turn the rest of the class. I'll be like, oh my gosh, this kid and his questions. It's just a better way of managing questions. So go ahead and take a seat, please. Thank you very much for doing that. The blood will start rushing away from your brain in just a couple of minutes, and you'll get really quiet and tired again. Don't worry about it. I found this image attached to an article a little while back, and the article was about the benefits to the brain of exercise. On the left-hand side, you'll see the activity in a brain sitting quietly. On the right side, you'll see the activity in a brain that has taken a 20-minute walk. That's not a very rigorous activity, or vigorous, rather. 20-minute walk. Now, we might look at this and be like, well, okay, how does this apply to the classroom? Who cares? What difference does it make? Well, based on the research, if we can make the brain ignite, if we can get that kind of activity going on in our student's brain, that means they will have better cognition. Again, that first piece where we're better blood flow to the brain is simply working better. Second, we'll have better attention and focus on whatever's going on. Third, we'll have better memory. Students will remember more of the content, more of the information, more of the experience. And then 4, it will increase student performance. Now, in a room like this, we have 800 people in here. We're not going to go take a walk. It's impractical. I would like to, but it would be insanity. But what about in a more normal-looking classroom? What might this look like?
Today we are modeling the walk and talk strategy in a flipped classroom to demonstrate an efficient and healthy learning environment that teachers can create for their students tomorrow. First, to promote efficiency and engagement, the teacher delivers the lecture content by showing a short, concise video she created, in this case about the Pythagorean theorem, while the students take notes. According to research, students will retain more of the information if it's presented by their teacher via video. Video lectures are also significantly shorter than live lectures. This is an 8-minute video lecture that used to take the teacher 45 minutes to deliver live. Thus, we have freed up a considerable amount of class time. So after the lecture video is over, students are grouped and each group is given a question about the Pythagorean theorem that they will be responsible for discussing, answering, and teaching back to the class. To better activate the brain and create a healthy learning environment, students are directed to go on a walk and talk. They walk and discuss their question and possible answers while the teacher facilitates.
After the walk and talk with their brains activated, the students return to the room and get right down to work, answering their question and preparing to teach a lesson. Students then transfer their information to a whiteboard and teach it to one other small group. The teacher identifies exemplar lessons that are then recorded and played back for the whole class, while students now take notes on their peers' concise lecture video. The walk and talk strategy used in a flipped classroom is a powerful way to create a healthy and efficient learning environment.
We use what's called modeling-based professional development, meaning most of the PD we do is modeling actual full lessons, where we're integrating new strategies, technologies, tools, so that teachers can experience those lessons from the student perspective. And at the end of those lessons, we give the teachers time to figure out ways, collaborate with each other, to figure out ways how to make those ideas, well, first of all, pick whichever ones are most important for them and most useful, and then how can we make this work in our classroom? So that's sort of the method of professional development that we use all the time, and I really love the results because it ends up, of all the PD I've ever done, it ends up resulting the most change because teachers have experienced it. I don't think we model enough for teachers. We talk about change in education, but we don't really show it as much as we really need to get people on board. And I love seeing tweets like this after sessions we have done where we model, because it directly impacts the students basically the next day. So use my first video lecture today, or in class today, and it took my kids for a walk and talk about math. It was pretty awesome. Thanks. First successful walk and talk with students in independent research class. Hashtag paper slide next step. Thanks for inspiring me. Now, regarding that paper slide comment, I think if we're talking about getting students up and moving, walking is an interesting concept, but the original way to get people up and moving was through music, and it still is. It's the best way to get people, students, anybody up and moving through music. I'm a musician. I play a number of different instruments. I have a recording studio in my house, and I've written a number of songs about curriculum topics, math, science, social studies, language arts, that can be found in Discovery Education Streaming, and quite honestly, I'm always honored to be in the same room with this person because Mr. Steve Dembo up here, who's your closing keynote speaker, Steve discovered me. He is the reason why I'm here and doing what I'm doing. So, thanks, Steve. So, yes, we can do that, yes. Appreciate it. So I write a lot of songs, and currently I'm working on a project called the 50 States album. I'm writing one song about every state in the United States, covering the basic history, geography, and economic structure or foundation. I've finished 23 so far. I have 27 left to go. They're rather difficult, complicated, take a long time. But I also hired a children's book illustrator and artist to create what I call one-take paper slide music videos. And this is one take because I'm the same theory about hit record, let it go, hit stop, and it's done. Point that camera down at a flat surface and use paper that she had created all this art on, all hand-drawn art, and time it so you're telling this story as these pieces of paper come in. So I want to play you this song. It's called La Florida. That's a one-take paper slide music video from my 50 States album.
Get Florida till the French and Indian War. Then the British take control till revolution shuts the door. Spain took back both east and west, but we fought and paid them more to have the 27th state without the Seminole in a Confederate role. Ponce de Leon in search of youth, he stumbles on La Florida. Old days are gone, this must be it. A land so flowery, British here split west to east, Pensacola to St. Augustine. Now these sunny Florida territories come together at Tallahassee. Panhandle, Alabama above, and Georgia, the connected states. This tropical peninsula mostly low with land and lakes. Between the Gulf of Mexico and Atlantic to the south, the Florida Straits. More than 1,300 miles of coastline awaits. Prepare for hurricanes. Ponce de Leon in search of youth, he stumbles on La Florida.
gone. This must be it, a land so flowery. British here split west to east, Pensacola to St. Augustine. Now these sunny Florida territories come together at Tallahassee. Where in God we trust that the Sunshine State will shine on us. That in Miami, where the orange blossoms and mockingbirds, they meet under palmetto trees. Agriculture like cattle farming, sugar citrus at its best. Industry and construction builds on this paradise, so yes. Yeah, air conditioning make us cool, create a tourism treasure chest. Come on down to the southeast and take a rest. At our beaches and parks, you'll be our guest. Ponce de Leon, in search of youth, he stumbles on La Florida. Old days are gone, this must be it, a land so flowery. British here split west to east, Pensacola to St. Augustine. Now these sunny Florida territories come together at Tallahassee. The illustrator's name is Jan Macer, and she is an absolute genius, creative genius. So one of the things I want to talk about here is hashtag flexible, because I created, so we're going to interact with the chorus of that song briefly here in just a moment, but I created a lecture video that covers all the content in the chorus of the song. And why I have flexible here is I don't have to show this before the lesson. But it is flexible. This is captured. I can show it before the lesson. I can show it after the lesson. We can do some inquiry activities. We can do some discovery activities. And then I always know going into every lesson that the content is already covered. I can always plug that in at any time. Very powerful idea. So I want to do the activity first before we get to that lecture, because I want to see how you all do with it. So make it more of an inquiry-based or discovery-based activity, not covering the lecture first. I found this brain scan image in an article that was suggesting that exercise is medication for ADHD. Right? And with the rest of that research that I was talking about, the brain research, so it's better for cognition, it's better for focus and attention, it's better for memory, it's better for student performance, and maybe medicine for ADHD. There's something interesting there. And my passion, one of my passions, is to make learning look and feel like exercise by creating what I call kinesthetic lectures. They are lectures because I'm going over content. Some of them are funny. And they're kinesthetic because I'm directly connecting the content to that motion. These are not brain breaks. These are not stretch breaks. This is actual, this is connecting the content to those motions directly. So if everyone would stand up, we're going to go through the chorus together. Get a feel for this. All right, we're awake again. It feels good. Here it comes. The first half of the chorus says, Ponce de Leon, in search of youth he stumbles on, La Florida, old days are gone. This must be it, a land so flowery. Here's how we're going to demonstrate this. Ponce de Leon, in search of youth he stumbles on, La Florida, old days are gone. This must be it, a land so flowery. The second half says, British here split west to east, Pensacola to St. Augustine. Now these sunny Florida territories come together at Tallahassee. Here's how we're going to demonstrate this. British here split west to east, Pensacola to St. Augustine. Now these sunny Florida territories come together at Tallahassee. Let's try it all together slowly. Ponce de Leon, in search of youth he stumbles on. La Florida, old days are gone. This must be it, a land so flowery. British here split west to east, Pensacola to St. Augustine. Now these sunny Florida territories come together at Tallahassee. Let's try it with the music. Without the Seminole in a Confederate role, Ponce de Leon in search of youth he stumbles on. La Florida, old days are gone, this must be it. A land so flowery, British here split west to east, Pensacola to St. Augustine. Now these sunny Florida territories come together at Tallahassee. Let's try it one more time. Without the Seminole in a Confederate role, Ponce de Leon in search of youth he stumbles on. La Florida, old days are gone, this must be it. A land so flowery, British here split west to east, Pensacola to St. Augustine. Now these sunny Florida territories come together at Tallahassee. That is the chorus.
Nicely done. Go ahead and take a seat. But the idea is, for these kinesthetic lectures, is to create a design that encourages teachers and students to do something that could be called or look like a flash mob. So in this video, this is a group of girls in Dallas, Texas. They are demonstrating their understanding of the solar system through exercise, through movements, igniting the brain and getting up and moving. That's one of my favorite lesson plans with music, is to have students create and practice flash mobs. My other lesson plan that I get really excited about is challenging students to come up with their own movements, their own motions, their own examples, and their own demonstrations for the movements, because my movements are awesome. But they can come up with some really cool stuff too. So this is a song about cells from a group of 8th graders in Michigan.
Well, I have a theory Schleiden, Schwann, and Verco agree with, that all living things have basic cells. Yeah, Anton believes it, the first to see it. Hooke was wowed by a cork when he put it under a microscope. Plants have cellular walls, but we don't need them at all. Our little membranes are flexible and strong. They pack their vacuoles in, with chloroplast they begin collecting sunlight, afraid of the dark again.
Again, connecting motion directly to that content, connecting those two. Now, the question may be, I don't have music for all of my content. How do I make this work? Do we have to have songs to encourage students to do this? So let's experiment with that idea. So if you'd stand up one last time, please. I'm going to play a very short lecture video, and then I'm going to give you 30 seconds in your group to come up with motions that demonstrate your understanding of that information.
Newton's first law of motion. An object in motion, like this ball heading this direction, will stay in motion at the same rate, and an object at rest will stay at rest at the same rate unless acted upon by an external force, either a push or a pull, like gravity pushing down on an object, creating friction with the ground to slow an object down.
And the first issue I have with that is gravity a push or a pull? I said it was a push. Not sure about that. Anyway, but take 30 seconds to come up with motions that describe or demonstrate your understanding of what you just saw. Go ahead, 30 seconds. Okay, quiet down, please. Quiet down. Some good conversations, not a whole lot of motion. We're going to try this again. Another piece of content. I want to see a little bit bigger emotions. I want people to participate a little bit more. Get out of your comfort zone a little bit. I'm not going to film you doing it. Here we go.
Onomatopoeia, a word that imitates the sound that it describes. For example, a dog's bark. That is a word that imitates the sound. Honk, like a car horn honking, word that imitates a sound. Knock, like knock, knock, knock on the door. That is a word that imitates the sound. And then boom, like an explosion. Again, a word that imitates the sound that it describes.
30 seconds. Go for it. Give it a try. Okay, quiet please. Nice. There's a few bigger emotions. I saw a lot of these. Nice. Let's try this one more time. And I want you to put your all into it because it's math.
Mixed numbers are expressed as a whole number plus a fraction. So let's discover how we can get a whole number out of an improper fraction. Let's say we have 9 over 2. In our numerator, we have 9 equal parts. In our denominator, we know that 2 parts make a whole. So there are a number of wholes in our numerator, specifically 4, because 2 goes into 9 4 times with 1 left over. So we have a whole number, 4, 1 left over, and then we have the same denominator. So this improper fraction, 9 over 2, can be expressed as a mixed number, 4 and 1/2, or 4 plus 1/2.
30 seconds. What can you come up with? Okay, bring it down and take a seat. Nicely done. Give yourselves a round of applause too for enduring that. For enduring that. One of my favorite motions to express mixed numbers, that's in a song I have about fractions, is this. Mixed numbers. Mixed numbers. A whole number and a fraction. A whole number plus a fraction. That's one of my favorites.
Circle graph divided by percentages.
A line graph is a straight line that goes up or down.
Broken lines go all over.
All right, a little bit of math, students doing some graphing. And again, the idea here is to let's allow the students to get kinesthetic, to activate and ignite their brains. I have one more short video and short activity for you. I've been discussing a little bit throughout some of these videos in the presentation. I've used the term flipped classroom, maybe once or twice. And I want you to rename the flipped classroom. You're going to work in your group to rename the flipped classroom. I'm going to play this short 1-minute video that sort of defines what I think a flipped classroom is, and then I'm going to have you discuss that.
Flipping the classroom can be a highly efficient and effective way of teaching, even if students do not have access to the internet or computers outside of the classroom. So let's consider a 60-minute teaching scenario where we compare a traditional classroom to a flipped classroom. Now, in a traditional classroom, we usually start off with a warm-up activity, which could last about 10 minutes. And then we transition into the main event, which is the lecture content, which could last 40 minutes, which leaves us 10 minutes at the end of the class period to do our wrap-up activities. Now, let's also keep in mind that we may do this multiple times a day for our different class periods, repeating the same lecture content over and over, which is relatively inefficient, and quite frankly, it's exhausting. So let's consider a flipped classroom. And the first thing we learn about a flipped classroom is you take those 40-minute in-class lectures and we condense them to about a 7-minute lecture video in this style. I've got some information here, I've got my camera, I don't have any interruptions, I just get through what the students need to know. Now, in this flipped classroom, we can take this 7-minute lecture video and use the first 10 minutes of class to put that on a screen and have students take notes on that lecture video. Every 2 or 3 minutes, we pause, we ask a question to the room, we facilitate a short discussion, and then we hit play. Then we transition into the main event in a flipped classroom, which is the activity or application. You have students work collaboratively to create their own learning. And at the end of the class period, we have 10 minutes at the end, we can watch that lecture video again and students can fill in the notes they missed. Now, a flipped classroom is a highly efficient and effective way of delivering information to students and engaging students because the main event is on the activity and the application, as opposed to the traditional method of teaching where the main event is on the repetition of that lecture content.
Quickly, in your groups, I'm going to give you about 1 minute to do this. I want you to fill in this statement. Ray says, I don't have a picture of it, I couldn't find one. Flipping the classroom should be called, and you can't call it anything like flipping the classroom or flipped classroom. You have to come up with your own name for what you think this teaching style should be called. Take 1 minute, and then we'll do a quick ending here. I heard some good discussions. I heard an acronym back there, of course, education. I think theirs was CASE. It's good stuff. All right, so just on the count of 3, just yell out what you get. So Ray says flipping the classroom should be called... Sounds like the Beatles. Feel free to go ahead and tweet that out if you would like to. Share that with me so I can read those a little bit later.
If I was challenged to rename this teaching method, but I couldn't refer to it as flipping the classroom, I think I would call it simply good 21st century teaching, where we are rebooting the lecture. Every teacher is taking their lesson content, their lecture content, and condensing it in their own unique way, filming it, and then offering it to their students so they can interact with that information, interact with their teacher in a self-paced environment. That will promote student success, but it will also create and free up a lot of class time because our lessons now become much more efficient. And in the class time, we can ignite the student brain by creating an active and healthy learning environment. Now, this may seem really overwhelming because you might think, I've got all these lessons and I don't even know where to start. Here is my challenge for you. Start with one lesson. Create one concise lesson video. Show it in the classroom. It'll be much shorter than the live version of it. Use the balance of time to get students up and moving around and talking about the content. I believe you will be hooked and the students will be hooked and you will continue this practice.
Thank you.